Good morning, students. From your supplementary reader, Footprints Without Feet, we are doing chapter number 8, The Hack Driver, written by Sinclair Louis. Harry Sinclair Lewis was a famous American novelist, short story writer, and playwright. He was the first writer from the United States to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1930. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for his vigorous and graphic art of description. He created his characters with wit and humor. His first book, Hike and the Aeroplane, was published in 1912 under the pseudonym Tom Graham. He was born on February 7, 1885, in Minnesota, USA. After graduating with honors, I became a junior assistant clerk in a magnificent law firm. I was sent not to prepare legal briefs but to serve summons like a cheap private detective. So, the narrator of the story tells us that after he has graduated with honors, he became a junior assistant clerk. And this was a famous law firm where he had become junior assistant clerk. Then he says he was not sent to prepare legal briefs but to serve summons. So, legal brief, like many of them who are under a training period, they have to prepare legal facts and collect legal facts and prepare the cases. But then he was not given the things to prepare legal briefs, but he was asked to serve summons. Serve summon is, that is, to send summons of the court. That is the call from the court. So when the court is desirous of calling somebody in a case, to appear a person in a case, then they ask the help from these practitioners of law and the police. So he also was given this job to serve summons rather than doing some real good job of preparing the legal briefs. So he says that these serving summons was a cheaper something like private detective do. I had to go to dirty and shadowy corners of the city to seek out my victims. So he says I had to move to these dirty and shadowy corners of the places to seek out victims, to look out victims. Victims, one, those who have to be delivered the court summons. Some of the larger and more self confident ones even beat me up. Now, many a times it happened that some of the stronger and more confident people used to beat him after getting summons. When they got this summons, received this summons from this narrator, they used to beat him. I hated this unpleasant work and the sight of the city life it revealed to me. So the narrator despised this work of sending summons or calling people, serving summons to the people. I even considered fleeing to my hometown, fleeing, that is running, escaping to my hometown where I could have been a real lawyer right away without going through this unpleasant training period. So he says that some certain times I feel that I should escape to my hometown where he does not have to undergo this training period session and this unpleasant period of training, and where it would be easy for him to attain the name of a real lawyer, where he can do and practice, he can become a lawyer in real terms. So I rejoiced one day when they sent me out 40 miles in the country to a town called New Millen, to serve summons on a man called Oliver Lutkins. We needed this man as a witness in a law case, and he had ignored all our letters. So one day he was asked that he has to serve summons, but this summons was not to be served in any city. He had to go 40 miles away to the countryside, to New Million, and he was very happy about it. And he had to summon, he had to give summon to whom? To Oliver Lutkins. And who is this person? This person was a witness in one of the law cases, but Oliver Lutkins had ignored all the letters coming from court. So the narrator had got this job that he had to summon this person, Oliver Lutkins. The court orders to appear, and therefore he has to go to New Million. When I got to New Million, my eager expectations of a sweet and simple country village were severely disappointed. Its streets were rivers of mud with rows of wooden shops either painted a soft brown or bare of any paint at all. So the narrator goes to New Million. Why? Because he has to serve summons to Oliver Lutkins, the one who has ignored all the letters of the court. So he was very excited to go to New Million. It's a village, it's a country. His expectations were that it would be sweet and a simple country village he would get to see. But then he was very disappointed because the reality did not meet to his expectations. Its streets were rivers of mud because the streets were all rivers of dirt and mud, and there were wooden shops, there rows of wooden shops. They were either painted in saw brown, that is unpleasant brown color, or they were bare. There was no paint at all. The only agreeable sight about the place was the delivery man at the station. He was about 40, red faced, cheerful, and thick about the middle. His working clothes were dirty and well worn, and he had a friendly manner. You felt at once that he liked people. So he says, when I came to this country village, the expectations were high, but then the expectations did not meet the reality. And he says that the only thing that was pleasant about the place was a delivery man. Delivery man, one who delivers good. Now he was agreeable. Why? Because this delivery man was of 40 years of age. He was red faced. He was a cheerful person, and he was a bit fat. He was wearing working clothes that were dirty, and he looked a friendly person, a cheerful person. And it fell to the narrator that he liked talking to people. I told him, to find a man named Oliver Lutkins. So the narrator informs him that he is looking for a person named Oliver Lutkins in this village. Lutkins, I saw him around here about an hour ago. Hard fellow to catch, though, always up to something or other. So this delivery man informs the narrator that Lutkins he had seen an hour ago, and he says, this delivery man says to the narrator that he is hard fellow to catch. It's very difficult to catch him. Why? Because he is up to one or the other thing, that is one or the other mischief he might be into. He's probably trying to start up a poker game in the back of Fitz's shop. So probably he might have gone to Fitz's shop. At the back of that Fitz shop he plays a poker game, that is a card game of betting. I'll tell you, boy, is there any hurry about locating Lutkin? So this delivery man questions the narrator. Are you in a hurry to locate him? Is this an important or an urgent work that you're looking for him? Yes, I want to catch the afternoon train back to the city. I was very important and secret about it. So the narrator informs this delivery man that yes, he has to catch the train in the afternoon to back to the city, and there is definitely something important and secret that he had come to talk to Oliver Lutkins, and he does not inform why and means what is the work. I'll tell you what, I've got a hack. I will get it out and we can drive around together and find Lutkins. I know most of the places he hangs out. So this delivery man says that he's having a hack, that is a coach that is hired, and he will bring that coach, he will bring that hack, and he himself is to drive the narrator around in the village, in the country, New Millen, and they will together locate Lutkins. Most of the places he knows where he goes. He was so open and friendly that I glowed with the warmth of his affection. I knew, of course, that he wanted the business, but his kindness was real. So the narrator was very much impressed with this delivery man. Why? Because he was all cheerful also, he was friendly, he wished to talk, he wished to help. So he was open and friendly, and he glowed, he was shown, the face was glowing with the warmth of his affection. That is, he had that warmth of friendliness in him. But then the narrator understood that the delivery man wants business, that is, obviously, he would be giving services of the hack, so he would be asking for money. But his kindness was real, but then he was very impressed with the kind behavior of the delivery man. I was glad the fair money would go to this good fellow, so even narrator was happy that the fear of the hack that he is going to utilize, the money would go to this nice fellow, the delivery man. I managed to bargain down to $2 an hour, and then he brought from his house nearby a sort of a large black box on wheels. So the narrator managed to settle the amount. For an hour, the narrator had to pay him $2, and then he brought his hack from the house, and this hack was what? A large black box on wheels. He remarked, "Well, young man, here's the carriage." And his wide smile made me into an old friend. These villagers are so ready to help a stranger. He had already made it his own task to find Oliver Lutkins for me. So, this person, that is the delivery man, he gets his carriage, he gets his hack, and this hack was a large black box. And he comes with this carriage and he says that I'm all ready. And he was so, and there was a smile on his face. So, the narrator was very much impressed that these villagers are so helpful. And now, this was not the task of this narrator, the lawyer, to look for Oliver Lutkins, but this delivery man had made it that now it's my task and I'm going to locate Oliver Lutkins for this person. He said, "I don't want to interfere, young fellow, but my guess is that you want to collect some money from Lutkins." So this delivery man says to the narrator that I do not mean to interfere in your business while you are looking for him, but as far as I know this person, that is Oliver Lutkins, definitely you are here because you have to collect money from him. He never pays anybody a cent. He still owes me 50 cents on a poker game. So he says that I know this fellow, who Oliver Lutkins, he never pays money to anybody, even a cent he won't pay. And in fact, the delivery man also demands money from Oliver Lutkins. He says he still owes me 50 cents on a poker game, and I was fool enough to play with him. So the delivery man says that he was fool enough to play with Oliver Lutkins, though he knows very well that Oliver Lutkins will not return the money, and Oliver Lutkins owes 50 cents to the delivery man because he lost in a poker game. He's not really bad. When it comes to this person, Oliver Lutkins is not bad, but it's hard to make him part with his money. But then it's very difficult to get to separate him from his money. So he never gives money, returns money to the people, whether he lose or whatever. If you try to collect from him in those fancy clothes, he would be suspicious and get away from you. So, if you are going to go, he's saying what? The delivery man is saying to the lawyer that if you are going to go in this fancy fine and fashionable clothes, then he would get suspicious. That is, Oliver Lutkins would get suspicious of you and he would run away from you. He will get away from you. If you want, I will go into fits and ask for him, and you can keep out of sight behind me. And if you allow me, who's saying? Delivery man is saying to the lawyer, to the narrator, that if you allow me, then in place of you, I will enter the shop and I'm going to ask that is Lutkins there, and you do not have to come in front of him, you do not have to come in face to face with the person, you can keep out of the sight for a time till we locate Oliver Lutkins. I loved him for this. So narrator was very much impressed. By myself, I might never have found Lutkins. With the hack driver's knowing help, I was sure of getting my man. I took him into my confidence and told him that I wanted to serve the summons on Lutkins, that the man had refused to be a witness when his information would have quickly settled our case. So, this narrator was altogether very much so much impressed with the delivery man that he says that it would have been a tough task locating Lutkins in this new million village, in this new million country. So the driver was offering help and he would readily accepted the help coming from driver, and he made sure that with the help of this delivery man, the task is half done. It would be very easy to locate Lutkins. And he took the confidence of this person and informed him and told him that he had come to New Millens to serve a notice, to serve a summon to Lutkins because he had refused to become a witness. And if he become a witness, then it would be pretty easy to settle one of the complicated cases. So he had come to serve him the summons. The driver listened earnestly. At the end, he hit me on the shoulder and laughed. Well, we will give Brother Lutkins a little surprise. So the delivery driver, he gave a little pat on the shoulder of this narrator, the lawyer, and he said that today we are going to surprise Brother Lutkins. Let's start, driver. So the narrator says that let's start our journey, let's begin and start locating Oliver Lutkins where he is. Most folks around here call me Bill or Magnuson. My business is called William Magnuson's Fancy Carting and Hacking. So the delivery man introduces himself that he is known as Bill. And the business is called as William Magnuson Fancy Carting and Hacking. All right, Bill, shall we proceed to Fitz? So the narrator says that let's proceed to Fitz. Let's go to Fitz's shop. Yes, Lutkins is just as likely to be there as anywhere. Plays a lot of poker. He is good at deceiving people. So delivery man informs that yes, it's very likely that he might be definitely be there as he plays a lot of poker games and he loves deceiving people, cheating people in poker. Bill seemed to admire Lutkin's talent for dishonesty. I felt that if he had been a policeman, he would have caught Lutkins respectfully and jailed him with regret. So the narrator feels that Bill has a whole lot of appreciation for Lutkins, for his talent to cheat people, for his talent of dishonesty. And he feels that if Bill was a policeman, he would have been a good policeman and he would have arrested Lutkins with a whole lot of respect and he would feel regret to send him to jail. Bill led me into Fitz. Have you seen Oliver Lutkins around today? Friend of his looking for him, said Bill cheerily. So Bill led the lawyer, the narrator, to Fitz's shop. Over there he goes and questions that did any one of them have seen Oliver Lutkins? And he announces that one of his friend is looking for Lutkins. Fitz looked at me hiding behind Bill. He hesitated and then admitted, yes, he was in here a little while ago. Guess he's gone over to Gustav's to get a shave. So Fitz looks at the person that whom the bill is addressing, that who's looking, and then he says that yes, Lutkins was here a little while ago, and he might have gone for a shave to Gustav's. Well, if he comes in, tell him I'm looking for him. So Bill announces to Fitz that if Lutkins come by, just announce to him that he has been looking for him. We drove to Gustav's barber shop. Again, Bill went in first and I lingered at the door. Now they headed to Gustav as the information was given by Fitz that he might have gone to a barber shop, so they go over there. Now Bill entered the barber shop and the narrator is lingering at the door. He asked not only the Swede but two customers if they had seen Lutkins. So Bill questions the Swede and the customers about Lutkins. The Swede had not. He says, I haven't seen him. He said angrily, I haven't seen him and don't care to. One, he has not seen him and doesn't even bother to see him at all. But if you find him, you can just collect that $30.35 he owes me. Now we come to know that why Swede was angry. He says that Lutkins owes $35. So if you get to meet Lutkins, ask him that he has to return $35 to him. One of the customers thought he had seen Lutkins walking down Main Street this side of the hotel. So one of the customers said that yes, he had seen Lutkins and he was walking by the side of the hotel to the Main Street. As we climb back into the hack, Bill concluded that since Lutkins had exhausted his credit at Gustav's, he had probably gone to Grace for a shave. So now Bill and the lawyer climbed back into the hack because Lutkins was not located at Fitz, neither at Gustav's. So Bill concluded that because Lutkins as he owes money to Gustav and his money is exhausted, the credit is exhausted. So he might have gone to Grace for a shave. At Grace barber shop, we missed Lutkins by only 5 minutes. So they learned at Grace barber shop that Lutkins left 5 minutes back. He had just left probably for a pool room. So they learned that he had gone. Lutkins had gone to pool room. At the pool room, it appeared that he had just bought a pack of cigarettes and gone out. And they learned that then they headed to pool room. Over there, they learned that Lutkins have left, and he in fact bought a pack of cigarettes and he had left. So we pursued him, just behind him, but never catching him. So they are following every whatever the information they could collect from Fitz to the barber shop to Gustav's to Grace barber shop. They're collecting and they are chasing Lutkins, but every time they are not able to catch him. For an hour till it was past 1 o'clock. I was hungry, but I had so enjoyed Bill's rough country opinions about his neighbors that I scarcely cared whether I found Lutkins or not. So they are pursuing him to catch him, but then they couldn't. And like this, an hour passed, more than an hour passed, and they miss Lutkins by a fraction of seconds and all. But then the narrator started feeling hungry, and at the same time, he was enjoying Bill's company. He was enjoying Bill's opinion regarding the country, the people, the neighbors, and he least bothered whether he would be able to catch or get Lutkins or not. So he was enjoying his company. How about something to eat? I suggested. Let's go to a restaurant and I'll buy you lunch. So narrator was feeling hungry. He said to the hack driver, so that he's feeling hungry. Let us buy some food, and he's going to buy food for him also. Well, I ought to go home to the wife. I don't care much for these restaurants, only four of them, and they are all bad. So the hack driver Bill, he says what that he has to go to his wife, and moreover, they are not good restaurants in this village, that is New Million. There are just four of them, and they all are bad. Why they are bad? Tell you what we'll do. We will get the wife to pack up a lunch for us. She won't charge you more than $50, and it would cost you more for a greasy meal in a restaurant, and we will go up to Wade's Hill and enjoy the view while we eat. So he gives a suggestion to the lawyer, the narrator, what that he will go to his wife. He'll ask her to pack food for both of them, that is the lawyer and the hack driver, and then she's not going to charge that much. It would be just $50, and it is going to be much better food than the greasy meal they get in a restaurant, and moreover they charge too much in a restaurant. So he's going to ask his wife to pack food for both of them, and then they are going to go to Wade's Hill. Over there they are going to enjoy the beauty of the New Million from that hill, and they would enjoy eating food. This is a suggestion that the hack driver Bill gives to the lawyer. I know that Bill's helpfulness to the young fellow from the city was not entirely a matter of brotherly love. I was paying him for his time. In the end, I paid him for 6 hours, including the lunch hour, at what was then a very high price. So the lawyer understood that Bill is offering this help of locating Lutkins from one place to another, and moreover his wife cooking for both of them. He says it's not all brotherly and all. He knows very well that he has to pay for the same, and by the end he had paid for 6 hours to this hack driver Bill, and including the lunch hour also he pays. But then he says that it was too much a high price for him also, for that for at that time also. But he was no more dishonest than I. So he says that he was not that dishonest what I was. Why? I charged the whole thing to the firm. Now he was charging, that is Bill the hack driver was charging the lawyer, but then he was not that dishonest that the lawyer was, because he is going to give all the bills to the firm, the law firm he works for. That is, the money would be paid by the law firm. It won't cost on his pocket. but it would have been worth paying him myself to have his presence. So he says that if I have to pay also, then it would be worthy, because he was enjoying the company of hack driver. He was enjoying his conversations about New Million, about people, about neighbor, about all the things around. His cheerful country wisdom was very refreshing to a country boy like myself who was sick of the city. So he says that me, a country boy, who the lawyer, a country boy, he was sick of the city life, and he was enjoying his wisdom. He was enjoying his narration of the village, of the beauty around, and everything was coming to him as fresh. As we sat on the hilltop looking over the pastures and creek which slipped among the trees, he talked of New Million and painted a picture in words of all the people in it. So he says that we were sitting on this hilltop, enjoying the beauty of the country, enjoying the beauty of the postures, enjoying the beauty of the trees, and at the same time, he was enjoying what? He was enjoying Bill, the hack driver's talk about the country, talk about the people, and he has Bill had put in beautiful words things that had come to life. He noticed everything, but no matter how much he might laugh at people, he also understood and forgave their foolishness. So, lawyer says that Bill noticed everything, and he used to make fun of the people. He laughed at them, but at the same time, he forgave the people's foolishness also. He described the minister's wife who sang the loudest in the church when she was most in debt. So, he is bringing these people to life. By life means alive. The narration is imaginary. Lawyer can feel that he is also the part of things around by listening to the description Bill was giving of the people. He described the minister's wife who sang the loudest in the church when she was most in debt. So Bill described about the minister's wife when she was in debt. So she used to sing loudly in the church to win all the blessings from the God. He commented on the boy who came back from the college in fancy clothes. He told about the lawyer whose wife could never succeed in getting him to put on both a collar and a tie on the same day. So he's narrating how the lawyer's wife could not provide to her husband the both the collar and tie on one day, on the same day. He made them all live, so everyone was put into real beings, real self, put to life. On that day I came to know New Million better than I did the city, and to love it better. So the narrator was very much impressed. He was very much influenced by Bill and his wisdom. He feels as if he does not know the city people more what he came to know about the New Million and the country and the people and the neighbors of Bill. Bill didn't know about the colleges and cities, but he had traveled around a lot of the country and had had a lot of jobs. So Bill is not knowing about the city life, the colleges and everything, about the jobs and things. But then he had traveled around a lot of country and had worked in many jobs. For his adventures, he had brought back a philosophy of simplicity and laughter. He strengthened me. So the narrator, the simplicity and humor he was influenced by the simplicity and humor of Bill, and he felt that he would like to, it was some sort of a strength that gave to the narrator, to the lawyer. He left that peaceful scene of meadows and woods and resumed our search of Oliver Lutkin. So the narrator and the hack driver, they left that Wade Hill and the meadows and woods, and then they continued with the search of Lutkins. After having lunch, we could not find him. Now they were helpless. They could not find him at all. At last, Bill cornered a friend of Lutkins and made him admit what he guessed. Oliver's gone out to his mother's farm 3 miles north. So Bill tried to convince one of the friend of Lutkins, and came out of and the information came out of that friend that Oliver Lutkins has gone to his mother's farm, and it is 3 miles to the north direction. We drove out there laying plans. Now, both the narrator and the hack driver, according to the information of Lutkin's friends, they headed to the north 3 miles to Lutkin's mother's farm. I know Oliver's mother, she's a terror, Bill sighed. So Bill announces that Oliver's mother is a terror. I took a trunk out there for her once and she almost took my skin off because I didn't treat it like a box of eggs. She's about 9 feet tall and 4 feet thick and quick as a cat, and she sure can talk. So now Bill is narrating to the lawyer about Lutkin's mother, the incident that he had faced with Lutkin's mother. He says that how he had brought a trunk for her, and she was all very angry and annoyed because he did not take that trunk very carefully. He was very casual about picking that trunk. And then he gives a physical description of the lady, that she is 9 feet tall and she is 4 feet thick and she is alert and quick like a cat, and surely she is one who can talk. I'll bet Oliver heard that somebody is chasing him and he's gone on there to hide behind his mother's skirts. So Bill says that definitely Lutkins had learned that somebody is looking for him throughout the day, and that is why he has gone to his mother's place to hide behind her. Well, we will try her, but you would better let me do it, boy. You may be great at literature and law, but you haven't had real training in swearing. So, Bill, the hack driver, says to the lawyer, what? That we will try her. We'll make out that if she can give us some news about Oliver Lutkins, whether he's hiding there or not. And moreover, what I want or what I suggest is that I will do the talking. You be quiet over there for a time. He says to the lawyer what, that he might be good with education, literature, and law, but then he does not have any real training regarding how to get the truth out of the person, so he will do the talking with the lady. We drove into a poor farmyard. We were faced by an enormous and cheerful old woman. My guide bravely went up to her and said, "Remember me? I'm Bill Magnuson, the carter and hackman. I want to find your son Oliver." So they drove, that is the big Bill, the hack driver drove the lawyer to the poor farmyard. That is Lutkin's mother was there. She was cheerful, she was enormous lady, and the guide, that is Bill, talks to the lady very bravely and asks her whether she remembers him or not, introduces that I am Bill Magnuson, the carter and hackman, and announces to her that we are looking for your son, that is Oliver. I don't know anything about Oliver and I don't want to, she shouted. Now the mother shouted, she shouted what? That I don't know anything about where he is and I don't wish to know also. Now look here, we have had just about enough nonsense. Now Bill, the hack driver, he gets annoyed. He says that for almost an hour we have had this nonsense locating Bill from one place to another. This young man represents the court in the city and we have a legal right to search all properties for this Oliver Lutkins. So he announces that how Lutkins is required in one of the important cases as a witness in the court, and we have every right to search the property to locate if Oliver Lutkins is hiding or not. Bill made me sound very important, and the woman was impressed. Now, Bill, the way he was talking with the woman, the lawyer was very much impressed because he felt that Bill had made him sound very important person coming from the city to locate Oliver Lutkins. She retired into the kitchen and we followed. And the woman heads to the kitchen, and both the gentlemen, that is the hack driver, Bill, and the lawyer, they follow her. She seized an iron from the old fashioned stove and marched onto us, shouting, "You search all you want to, if you don't mind getting burnt first." She shouted and laughed at our frightened retreat. So she goes in the kitchen, she takes that iron from the stove, and she marches to both the men and they run. And she says that you want to do whatever you want to do, you search, but then first be ready to get burnt with this iron. And she's shouting and she's laughing and she's running after both the men. "Let's get out of here. She'll murder us," Bill whispered. So Bill announces that let's go, otherwise we would be murdered whether Lutkins is found or not found. We should save our lives. Outside, he said, "Did you see her smile?" She was laughing at us. So both the men ran outside the house and they were relieved that otherwise that lady would murder them. So Bill announces to the lawyer that did you notice the woman was all smiling and laughing with that iron in her hand and running after us. I agreed that it was pretty disrespectful treatment, so even lawyer agreed that yes, the woman is very terrifying and she had disrespected both the men. They have to run away, otherwise she would have murdered them. We did however search the house. Now they had to search whether Oliver Lutkins was hiding or not, so they had to search the house. Since it was only one story high, Bill went around it, so it was just one story high house or a building. And then Bill looked around the house, peering in at all the windows, and through the windows he is peering to see if Oliver Lutkins was hiding. We examined the barn and the stable. We were reasonably certain that Lutkins was not there, so they searched everywhere, barn, stable, everywhere, but then they came to a conclusion that Lutkins was not there. It was nearly time for me to catch the afternoon train, and Bill drove me to the station. Now it was time for the lawyer to leave back to the city, and the hack driver drove the lawyer to the station. On the way to the city, I worried very little over my failure to find Lutkins. I was too busy thinking about Bill Magnuson. Really, I considered returning to New Millen to practice law. Now, when he's returning back to city, he was not at all worried that he did not regret that was not able to give a summons to Oliver Lutkins. And he was all thinking about Bill Magnuson and about the people of New Millen, the neighbors, and every bit. So this lawyer was so impressed with Bill and New Million that he thought that he should settle in New Million and practice law. If I had found Bill so deep and richly human, might I not grow to love Fitz and Gustavs and 100 other slow-spoken, simple, wise neighbors? So this lawyer started thinking that how he was so very impressed with Bill, his knowledge, he is a deep person, a rich human being, and he felt that he can also become friends with Fitz and Gustavs. He can start knowing these people. They are soft spoken people, they are wise and simple. I pictured an honest and happy life beyond the strict limits of universities and law firms. So he started dreaming of a beautiful and honest life in New Millen rather than the city life of universities and law firms. I was excited. I had found a treasure. I had discovered a new way of life. So the visit of this lawyer had turned out to be a futile and New Million, but then he was very excited to learn about New Million, about Bill. He was so much impressed with Bill that he thought of considering to return to New Million to practice law, and he found that it was a treasure for him. The country life was treasure for him, and it gave a new meaning, a new discovery to his own life. But if I did not think much about Lutkins, the office did. I found them all upset. So when he returns to city, though he had been unsuccessful in giving sermons to Oliver Lutkins, he returns to city and the office. They were all upset. The people were upset. Why? Next morning the case was coming up in the court and they had to have Lutkins. Now why the office people were upset? Because the next morning the case was there in the court and they wanted the important witness in that case. That is, they wanted Oliver Lutkins by any cost. Next, I was shameful, useless fool. So they announced him that he is shameful and useless because he could not get Lutkins, Oliver Lutkins. He could not serve summons to him. That morning, my promising legal career almost came to an end before it had begun. So the narrator felt that his career as a lawyer had come to an end because all the people in the office were very much annoyed with him. The chief almost murdered me, and the chief, he was very annoyed with the narrator and he felt that he would murder him. He hinted that I might do well at digging ditches. So the chief was so much annoyed that he proposed to the lawyer what that it was better that in case of doing a law practice he should be digging ditches. I was ordered back to New Milan, and with me went a man who had worked with Lutkin. So he was ordered again that you have again to return to New Milan to serve sermons to Oliver Lutkins. But then this time he got a company. He had to go along with a man who already had worked with Oliver Lutkins. I was rather sorry because it would prevent my loafing all over again with Bill. Now, narrator was not happy, lawyer was not happy. Why? Because he would not be able to enjoy the company of Bill all alone, and he would have this person, a companion, along with him. When the train arrived, at New Milan, Bill was on the station platform near his cart. Strangely enough, that old tigress, Lutkin's mother, was there talking and laughing with Bill, not quarreling at all. So, when the train arrived at the station, the narrator, the lawyer, along with his companion, they noticed that Bill, the cart driver, was along with Lutkin's mother, and he was very much shocked because because Lutkin's mother did not look terrorized, angry, quarreling. She was laughing, and in fact, Bill was also laughing and having fun and talking to the lady. From the 10 steps, I pointed Bill out to my companion and said, "There's a fine fellow, a real man. I spent the day with him." So the lawyer announces to his companion that this is the person. He's pointing towards Bill, the hack driver, pointing to him and saying, "This is the person. He's a fine fellow. He's a nice gentleman. He's the real man. And he is the man with whom I spent the day and spent the day in New Milan. He helped you hunt for Oliver Lutkins." Now the companion questions him that is he the person who helped you to locate who Oliver Lutkins is or find Oliver Lutkins? Yes, he helped me a lot. So the narrator announces, yes, he's a very helpful person. He helped me to find Oliver Lutkins. He must have. He's Lutkins himself. So the companion brings the truth to reality, the truth to picture what that yes, definitely he might have helped you because he is himself Oliver Lutkins. What really hurt me was that when I served the summons, Lutkins and his mother laughed at me as though I were a bright boy of 7. With loving kindness, they begged me to go with them to a neighbor's house for a cup of coffee. So now the narrator, the lawyer, he serves summons to Oliver Lutkins, and when he is giving sermons to appear in front of the court, the mother and the son, that is Oliver Lutkins, both were laughing at the narrator as if he was a small boy. And in fact, they urged the narrator, pleaded the narrator that let's give us company at our neighbor's house for a cup of coffee. I told them about you and they are anxious to look at you, said Lutkins joyfully. They are about the only folks in the town that missed seeing you yesterday. So Lutkins announces to the narrator that when I narrated to the neighbors that a person is looking for Oliver Lutkins, that is me himself, and to serve sermons. So my neighbors were very anxious to meet you. They were the only persons, they were the only people in New Milan who had missed seeing you, who had missed meeting you. Why? Because you were looking for Oliver Lutkins, though he himself was there in the hack along with the narrator. So, students, this is a story of what? This story is of a very cunning manipulator, that is Bill, that is Oliver Lutkins. It shows that appearances are often deceptive. The narrator, that is lawyer, he failed to be careful in carrying out his job. He was a novice and not a seasoned legal mind. He had a romantic view of the country life but was easily conned by crooks in New Milan.